All right, so again, I wanted to take the time to introduce myself and just tell you a little bit about our program before I start going into the presentation. So by day, I am a high school counselor. So I work full-time as a high school counselor in Dorchester. I live in Sumter, but work in Dorchester, and I've been doing that for a number of years. I won't tell my age. And I used to work in Darlington. Now I work in Dorchester County. And that's really where I found my love for helping students go through this scholarship journey. And so, I was helping my church members. I was helping my students at Lamar back in the day, and then now Woodland. But my true test came with my oldest daughter. The process early. So I know you guys are in various grade levels, and that's great because the misconception is that you need to start this process in your junior, your senior year. Most people do it in their senior year, and that is definitely a myth. You need to start the process and preparing to apply really as early as middle school. So, that are actually available for elementary, middle, and high school students in 9th through 11th grade. But yes, the bulk of her scholarships, like they read earlier in my bio, that my daughter received were in her senior year. She did receive scholarships. She was not a Val or a Sal or a top 10 or a top 20 student, but she was a well-rounded student. She graduated with 39 college credits. Sumter High is a really big school, but we knew we had to find out to make sure that she stood out to scholarship organizations. And what really helped was that she did a lot of volunteer and community service activities. She was a part of multiple clubs and organizations. So not just playing varsity volleyball, but she was a part of, Interact Club and Key Club and National Technical Honor Society and National Honor Society, but a number of organizational paint this picture of being the well-rounded student. And so that is what really helped her get that full ride to school. Now, we only have about 45 minutes in the overview. The presentations that we do for parents and students, it's about 90 minutes. But we have to kind of condense everything into this 45-minute workshop. So just definitely be prepared to take notes if you can. If you have any questions, like they said earlier, just please ask them in the end. Hold off after the first 45 minutes. So I want to try to make sure I can get through the entire present. Now, just let me know, a little sound check. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. So we're going to just go ahead and start. So of course, one of the things that I like to share with parents and students is just the basic take for granted that people know some of the more into the basics with our full workshops. But I just want you guys to know that scholarships are a type of financial assistance to a student, and it's awarded based in merit or specific requirements, and you don't have to pay scholarships back. And so that's why I really love scholarships. You get the money or the money pools, and you're not required to pay that money back. Scholarships come in different levels, so national, state, local level scholarships. And again, we try to make sure that parents and students understand the difference between the three. And I'll explain that more as we get further into the presentation, but it's very important that students and parents know the difference between the different levels of scholarships that are available. We're moving a little slow here for some reason. All right, so scholarship committees are searching for students who are worthy of their money. And of course, they want bragging rights. They want to be able to show that, yes, we've formed this committee, we've searched for the best candidate, and we want to make sure that this person is going to prayerfully go off and do great things because we're giving them this money. The most successful scholarship recipients have simply figured out ways to use their skills, their talents, and their passions. And again, a lot of scholarships that are available, The biggest misconception is that a lot of scholarships are needs-based, so it's based on household income. So, you know, if your parents fall in a certain income bracket, then you will be able to apply for, qualify for scholarships. And that is definitely a myth as well. There are a lot of scholarships that don't ask about household income. A lot of people think that, you know, the higher you are, you know, ranked in your graduating class, the more likely you'll be able to get all of these scholarships, all of your other competition, and that's definitely a myth as well. There are a number of scholarships that don't ask about class rank, that don't ask about GPA, that don't ask about test scores as well. We had a student, well, actually, he's going in his senior year. He's actually on a full ride at his school. When he graduated from high school, he had a 2.7 GPA. Well, the top 10 were essay contests. And so he, you know, really had really great resources with the English teachers. And I think one of his social studies teachers that would read over his essay before he submitted them. He had a really great things that he wanted to do to bring back to his community after he graduated from college. And so over and over again, he kept winning scholarships through essay contests. So they didn't ask about GPA or class rank. And now he has a 3.7 GPA at his 4-year college. So it's not always about GPA and now, one of the things, if you ever get the chance to talk to Miss M, and most of my students, they don't call me Miss Mihlbauer, they call me Miss M. Most of my students know that I'm a strong advocate for being a well-rounded student. I've been, you know, you get to increase your chances of winning multiple scholarships if you are a part of more than just athletics or a part of more than just one club or organization. You know, a lot of students don't like to participate in clubs and organizations at their school. There are community organizations that are out there, and there are also virtual. It's like one of the organizations my 9th grader is a part of is the National Society of Black Engineers. Well, we don't have an organization in Sumter, so she was able to join a virtual and be a part of that as well. She, because of time constraints, she couldn't join Girl Scouts through our church, but there's a virtual Girl Scout organization that's available for her as well. So there are lots of opportunities for students to engage and be that well-rounded student. If they don't want to join those clubs and organizations, they can definitely look at those community and virtual organizations as well. And so for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all of the clubs and organizations that I have on the screen for you guys today, but just take notes, start doing research about clubs and organizations that are in your school or that you are a part of, and see what type of opportunities that they have for you to apply for scholarships. One of the scholarships, if you see the little purple seal at the bottom, the National Society, National Technical Honor Society, that was one of the organizations that Chanel was actually a part of, and she was also part of National Honor Society. Well, one of the scholarships they actually awarded was, if you were a member of both of those organizations, you could win $2,500. And she was actually the student that won that particular scholarship when she was in her senior year. So do your research and find out what clubs and organizations are offering scholarships. Beta Club, they offer scholarships. The national organization is actually in Spartanburg. So just do your research. Seniors that are online, when you graduate after your senior year, this still doesn't stop when you go on to college, because we also work with current college students and graduate school students as well. You still need to be a part of organizations, and not join those organizations on your campus, but start looking at major. Start looking at those organizations, and I'm just pointing out a few that's on this page, like the National Association of Criminal Justice, the National Black Association of Criminal Justice. There's a South Carolina chapter. They all offer scholarships for students. We help the student at College of Charleston who is going into public health, and there are several and they offer scholarships for active members as well. So again, it's all about preparing and doing your research if you want to win multiple scholarships for school. Now you see the bar at the bottom, and of course these are our armed services. We offer students every year that transition to college, and then they graduate and they're commissioned as officers in the military. Last year, we had 9 students to graduate debt-free and went on to their careers in the military, never paid for school. We have a couple of students right now that are going in to college for their first year debt-free. The military is going to pay for them and when I say the military, but the school program is actually going to pay for them. They're actually paying their room and board for a lot of those students. And a lot of them are getting life, and a lot of them will get Pell, and they're pretty much done when it comes to coming up with that money for college as well. Military, you can go in straight out of high school, and they do offer money like that. But if you go in through the college route, do your research and see what type of scholarships that they actually offer for students as well. And again, if you have any questions about any particular clubs and organizations, just try to hold those until we finish the presentation. Now, what are scholarship committees actually looking for? Some of them actually are looking for GPA class ranks. Some of them are actually looking at your ACT and your SAT scores. And we just had a really great conversation with another group yesterday because a lot of colleges now for the next couple of years are waiving ACT and SAT scores. But I posted the other day on our Facebook page, but that doesn't, stop, some of the organizations for still requiring some of those ACT and SAT scores. So you still need to communicate with those scholarship organizations to say, hey, are you still requiring ACT or SAT? And if they are, you have to still communicate with College Board or AT to find out when is the next time that they'll actually be given the test. A lot of scholarship organizations are looking for leadership involvement, to be committed leaders. Those community service and curricular activities. They're looking for great essays, and I'm going to touch on that in a little bit as well. The biggest reason students do not receive a number of scholarships. And then success resumes. So I didn't share earlier that we actually offer like 4 to 6 hour boot camps. Typically we offer them in but things are going to look a little different this year. But one of the things that we teach students to do is to create resumes. And if I could, explain to you, I think I actually have a slide about the success resume, but if I can get you guys to kind of wrap your head around the importance of it's different than a job resume. So you're not giving your job description, if you work at, I don't know, Piggly Wiggly, and you're the head chair or something like that, and you have a job description. We're not trying to get you to highlight that information, but we're trying to get you to highlight all of your accomplishments that you have done in high school. Some students like to back it up to 8th grade. But if I could, I'm trying to visualize one of the students former, she put in, she was in the honors and the AP and the dual credit program, and she was in the teacher cadet program. She also had a list of her clubs and organizations, and she was Miss Woodland and the captain of the basketball team, the co-captain of the volleyball team, and just a number of organizations that she was a part of. She attended Girls Stage, attended Junior Project and Senior Project with College of Charleston. You're highlighting all of these great accomplishments, and you're putting it on, we always recommend just one page for your success resume, and that's your marketing tool. When a scholarship organization actually sees your resume, it's showing them, hey, okay, this student, is doing well in school, but they're also able to, manage their time and, be a part of all of these clubs and organizations. When you don't get the opportunity to meet with those scholarship organizations, this piece of paper will actually be able to speak for you. And so again, that is one of the things that we actually strongly suggest that students create and that's a success resume. And when you're filling out applications online, you just pull out your resume, and then you can use that as a guide with putting in, all of your clubs and organizations, all of your leadership things that you have done and had leadership roles, any awards that you have received, any community service. So instead of trying to remember all of this you can actually refer back to your success resume. Another reason I like it is when you do those paper applications, all you have to do, instead of, continuing to write all of this down for multiple applications, you just put see it and you send your resume in. Instead of having to write down, you're in Beta Club, Interact Club, Key Club, National Honor Society. You just put it in, see attachment, and then you submit your resume. So if you plan to realistically apply for multiple scholarships each week, and that's one of the things students don't understand. We've had students to win 47 scholarships, 63 scholarships, 32 scholarships. One of the students that they read earlier that actually will be on a full ride to Yale, he did one scholarship, and that was through QuestBridge, and he actually has a full ride now to Yale. But you want to have a plan in place. You want to have copies of your ACT, your SAT scores. You want to have copies of your transcripts in place, and your essays and your recommendation letters. So it's a plan that you have to put in place. It's really like a part-time job. And a lot of our, do maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 scholarships a week, not just one on a Tuesday in September and maybe 2 in October and maybe a few more in November and December, but they have a sitter applying for multiple scholarships each week. We're out for the summer. There are still scholarships that are available. I hope you guys, after you finish, that you follow us on Facebook, because what we're always stressing is that there are scholarships 365 days a year. There's no season for scholarships. And we know, because we do. We share 1 or 2 scholarship posts every day of the year. So there's no season for scholarships as well. So also keep that in mind. All right, and then where can you look, scholarships that are available? So say all the time that they have a hard time finding scholarships, which is very, I'm always puzzled by that. They're everywhere. If you know how to use the internet and Google, if you just type in scholarships, sometimes things will come up. There are a lot of things through we post every day as well. So scholarships are everywhere. But if you plan to go to college, check with your financial aid counselors, check with your high school counselors, any academic advisors, check with your local businesses and your, employ school scholarship coordinators. They may know about scholarships that are available. We just talked to a group, I think 2 weeks ago, and I was just sharing with them. I had actually one of my students on who actually won a $13,000 scholarship from Walmart. Her mom works at Walmart, and she did very well in school, and I didn't know working at Walmart, but when I found out, I think we probably were like a month shy of the deadline, and she submitted her application. Walmart says as long as your parent has you can get $13,000, and the minimum GPA to apply is a 2.5. She had I think she had a 4.6 or something, but the minimum GPA is a 2.5 to apply for this $13,000 scholarship. So again, scholarships are everywhere. And there are probably about 20 search engines, other opportunity for you to find scholarships. There are probably about 20 search engines that are out there. Our students don't create a profile for 20 search engines. Find 1 or 2 search engines and create the profile, and then you use that as one of your resources. But keep in mind, a lot of search engines are going to share mostly national scholarships. They'll tell you, and I'm just using some of an example, they'll tell you about the Coca-Cola scholarship. And every year, the first round of Coca-Cola, October 31st is the deadline. They'll tell you about Horatio Alger and the National ELTS Foundation. And I'm saying these hoping that you guys are taking notes, because again, these are national level scholarships that's typically apply for every year. But you know, pick 2 search engines. People ask me all the time, what is my favorite search engine? Scholarshipscom is my favorite engine. So if you decide to do that, you know, definitely encourage you to create a profile with scholarships.com and maybe one or two as well. And just a little fun fact I thought I would throw in there is that you can start looking for scholarships as early as elementary and middle school. Again, scholarships are available in all grade levels. 2 years ago, Google did the Doodle for Google contest, and a 6-year-old won $30,000 from Google. I'm also a member of the Optimist Club, and we actually offer an oratorical contest each year. One of our students was actually last year the world oratorical champion. And, you know, he found out about that scholarship and he won in the different club levels, and he made it all the way to be the world oratorical champion. But in our local club, a 4th grader that beat out every middle and high student for that oratorical contest. So, you know, again, the Optimist Club scholarship is levels. Elementary, middle, and you start looking and planning, the better prepared you can be for a full ride to college. And again, I wanted to touch on just, you know, the essay portion is an entire workshop that we offer by itself because, you know, scholarships, you know, they are looking for ways to figure out how they're going to weed out the winners from, or who to keep in the shred file and who to keep, you know, to look further to be a potential winner. And the essays are probably one of the most important parts of the scholarship process if they're asking you to submit. Please have people proof your essays before you send them out. Again, we hold an essay contest each year. Last year, we had a student that reached out to us that felt like she should have won the essay contest. And when we reviewed her essay, the very first paragraph had 14 mistakes. So that's why the committee is not going to spend time on your essay if you're already submitting something that you haven't reviewed or had other people to review as well. 14 mistakes, they're not going to take the time to read the rest of the essay. You know, find out what the organization is looking for. You know, if they have a particular topic, or can you write on a, you know, a generic topic. You know, get a team together, your English teachers or someone at your church. We used retired English teachers at our church to review Chanel's essays being in as all for each one of her essays and for her college applications as well. Have people proofread, have them read it over again, have them proof it over and over again, because you know, it's important. You you know, submit something that is error-free. Make sure your essays stand out. I always say find that hook. You know, if I can give you an example of a student that we work with at South Carolina State, gave an essay prompt, and they had to talk about an object that was significant to them. And this was a big football player, and he was talking about a Winnie the Pooh blanket. And I'm like, why is this big, you know, fellow talking about a Winnie the Pooh blanket? Well, when he was 12 years old, 12 or 13, they had a house fire. And the one thing he was able to salve a blanket that was on his bed, his brother's bed. But they were homeless for 2 years. He still maintained straight A's, and he was able to go to college. And so talking about that blanket and then just story will draw in a scholarship organization as well. Because again, I'm thinking, why is this big, you know, football player talking about a Winnie the Pooh blanket? But when you read the rest of his story, it's telling the entire story. And so of course they're going to give him, you know, scholarships as well. And in essays, there are tons of essays online for you guys to review. People are always asking me for sample essay. Google sample scholarship essays are out there. And again, we're talking about national, state, and local level scholarships. National level scholarships mean that anyone in the U.S. can apply for those scholarships. So if they attend a public, private, homeschool, or a charter school, and as long as the eligibility requirements, they can apply for those particular scholarships. So your competition is actually the entire country. So just make sure that you're reading the eligibility requirements before you begin the scholarship process, because some of those bigger organizations, they actually have, I always say, a committee before the committee that will go through and screen applications to make sure that they are to apply for the scholarships. So again, start doing your research. There are thousands and thousands of national for students, and sometimes students don't take advantage of them. We've had students where they're the only one that actually applied for a particular scholarship, a national level scholarship. So start doing your research. I'm gonna share some tips at the end how you can actually get organized through the process. I'm not going to go through all the national level scholarships, but these are ones that I put up are actually popular scholarships that students have actually won. Horatio and let's say the Gates Scholarship just opened yesterday. If not, I think it'll open next week, but I'm pretty sure it opened yesterday for the first round. So Gates for students, make sure you read the eligibility requirements. I think one of the two main requirements is that you have to be Pell Grant eligible and you have to have a minimum of a 3.3 on the 4.0 scale. Not your weighted GPA, but on the 4.0 scale, you have to have a minimum of a 3.3 to apply for that scholarship. So please make sure you read the eligibility requirements. Brown Scholar Program, one of our students in Sumter, Travis Johnson, who just a phenomenal guy, was actually the national president of FBLA. And again, when you see that this person is a member of FBLA, but they are the national president, that by itself can stand out to a scholarship organization. So even if he doesn't get the opportunity to meet with those scholarship, that committee face to face, the fact that he was chosen among his peers to be a national president, that will speak, for him. And so actually, he will be attending Harvard in the fall as well. AXA Achievement, they offer scholarships for students. Horatio Alger, we've had national and state level winners for that particular scholarship. They also offer a technical school scholarship for $2,500 for students as well. State level scholarships, and again, I don't have my state level, my South Carolina schools, but we have a lot of resources in South Carolina. So now the pool of applicants decreases to only public, private, homeschool, charter school students in South Carolina. That's your competition for state level scholarships. Make sure that you read the requirements. One of the biggest misconceptions from students is that this is a state level scholarship. So, I'm assuming it can only be used if I go to a school in South Carolina. Make sure you read the requirements, because a number of them will allow you to use your scholarship money in any institution across the country. So, just make sure that you are reading the eligibility requirements. South Carolina State Fair, we usually have one or two winners of that scholarship every year. That is one that Chanel also received as well. And I didn't touch on this, but even when you win scholarships, some of them, those renewable scholarships, come with requirements. Plan to get the money each year. Some of them require that you maintain like a 2.5 or 3.0 or 3.5 GPA. So you have to make sure that you still stay organized if you win multiple scholarships, what those requirements are. Do they want a copy of your transcript, each semester or each year? South Carolina State Fair Scholarship will disperse $750 each semester for a total of $1,500 a year, $6,000 total. And what they ask is that you send in a copy of your transcript each semester, I believe. We have to use that money in South Carolina as well. And of course, the James Burns Scholarship. I love James Burns Scholarship because If a student has lost a parent, the James Byrne Scholarship Program will award a big chunk of money to students. And I want to say it went up from 14,000 to 17,000, but don't quote me on that. So, you know, we've had a student, 2 students now that have actually won that scholarship. So research. The one at the bottom, South Carolina Governor's Committee on Employment of People with Disabilities. They ask that you write a 3-page paper. No, you don't have to have a disability, but the South Carolina Voc Rehab Department, they offer this scholarship every year for students. And they'll give a topic. You do have to do some research, but they offer to pay your tuition for all 4 years at any public college or university in South Carolina of your choice. So again, start taking notes and doing your research, get organized with your state level scholarships as well. Now, local level scholarships, and because we have so many students from a variety of counties, usually just depending on what county I'm in at that particular night I'm doing a workshop, I kind of tailor the local scholarships to that particular area. But you need to start doing your research for local level scholarships. Students don't like to take advantage of local level scholarships. Why? I don't know. Sometimes if $250 or $500, students don't want to, you know, take the time to apply for those scholarships. But, you know, for the adults that's sometimes the cost of one book. And if you have a lab, if you have a STEM class, sometimes that lab book is just as much. So you can end up paying $500 for just one class for the books. But take advantage of those local level scholarships. Contact your school counselor and find out how they put their scholarship information out. There's a variety of ways that they let students know what scholarships are available. But like your Rotary clubs and your sororities and fraternities, they offer scholarships for students as well. So start doing your research for those local level scholarships. The thing I like about local level scholarships is that they rarely change their guidelines with their application process. They typically have their scholarships available in the same month of each school year. So again, we started planning in 9th grade to go through this process with my oldest daughter. I have a daughter now in 9th grade going to 10th grade, and we've already started the same procedures with her as well and getting organized. So start doing your research for those local and state scholarships as early as 9th grade if you can. And these are some tips. Create a scholarship binder or notebook. Some students do a spreadsheet. I'm old school. I didn't share, but we have 433 students who have full rides with our assistants. They all have resumes and they all have scholarship binders. And now we have a little over 5,000 students who've received one or more scholarships with our assistants. And that's through the books or the boot camps, the essay writing workshop, or our scholarship fairs. And they all have grabbed my 9th graders binder, hoping that you guys can see it. But this is kind of what, one binder looks like. Actually, we already have 3. So we have these binders and we have information that's in the binders. And as you can see, I hope you guys can see this. We have them sectioned off, test scores. We have everything divided by, the months of the year when things are due based on the deadline. And so get a binder. And if you have any flyers or scholarship applications that you may not be ready to apply for now, put them in the binder. And that's helping you keep organized with deadlines, keeping your resume, your test scores, your recommendation letters for current seniors. You can keep all of that stuff in your binders. When you do FAFSA, I try not to touch on FAFSA, but once you do your FAFSA for my seniors that are coming up, October 1st is when that actually opens up for you guys. But at the top right-hand corner, there's a PDF version of make sure that you email a copy to yourself, save it in a file on your desktop or your laptop, and print off a copy and put it in your binder. Why does Ms. M say that? Because students will forget their usernames and passwords every day of the year for their FAFSA. And so it's just easier for you to get access to your FAFSA if you have it in a file or have it in your notebook as well. Apply for small scholarships. That's a great tip. $100, $250, that can add up. Write essays and have them edited. Stay organized. If you are not organized, you will become overwhelmed. That's one of the things that students say, that there's so many scholarships that are out there, but I have to get organized or I'm going to miss deadlines. And never give up. In the beginning, you may not be receiving the letters to say that you won scholarships, but don't. All of our students that are on full rides in the beginning, they may have received one letter here or there, and then all of a sudden it starts picking up and they're receiving multiple scholarship letters or emails each week or each month. So just continue to stay in the struggle, stay in the fight, and it will work out for them. Don't forget to continue to apply when you're in college, because there are scholarships for undergraduates as well. I do have 2 of the books, and I know they were saying they were going to offer, but for my seniors who are going to graduate this year, we actually have this book available. We have the South Carolina book, which I don't have that copy, and then this one, our Ultimate Scholarship book for middle and high school students. Seniors, one thing I want you to know is that you are actually in 2 categories. There are a lot of scholarships that are available for graduating high school seniors. You will also start seeing scholarships for around January for incoming college freshmen. You will be incoming college freshmen in 2021. So around, in January, when you start seeing those scholarship posts as well, apply for those scholarships, because you actually will be an incoming college freshman in the fall of 2021. And I also wanted to tell you, we have our programs, and I talked about that earlier. And then just guys, if you can, follow us on Facebook. We usually post our workshops there. When we go live, if we have any videos, we post every day on our page as well. We post scholarships every day, and winners of scholarships. And I'm not posting the winners of the scholarships to brag, but for you to take notes. So if you see a person that won a South Carolina State Fair scholarship, you need to write that down, because eventually you will qualify to apply for that scholarship as well. So in that information with parents and students as well. So that is the end of minutes. I know that's a lot of information in 45 minutes. I don't know if you have any questions, but I didn't get a chance to read the chats. But if anybody who was reading the chats could kind of share any of the questions that students had.
And so I'll go ahead and start. And guys, while I'm starting, go ahead and start dropping your questions in the chat. But we have one from Facebook Live.
Okay.
And just to confirm, what's a good website for applying for scholarships? That was their question.
Scholarshipscom. And but when you're saying applying for scholarships or searching for scholarships, and I just want to correct that person, to search for the scholarship, you have to search ability requirements and make sure you can apply. And the thing I like about scholarshipscom is that once you set up your profile and they give you potential scholarships you can apply for, and you hit that blue button apply page, it takes you straight to that page. And I love scholarshipscom. But yes, that's one search engine that you can actually,
Okay.
you are able to take. So I'm reading Gabby's. So it just depends on your school. Sometimes there's a cap with certain schools. Again, you have to do your research. I'm not going to name the college, but when we were going through the process of trying to make the final decision what school Chanel was going to actually attend, this was a private school, and she was accepted into the honors college. But one of the things they had on the contract was that any outside money that you brought in, they would money first in honors college money. Well, she was bringing in more scholarship money than the cost of attendance for about 8-10 years. And so they had the right to absorb all of that money, and there was no refund, and they were going to start for her to pay for books. So you need to do your research. One of the things, we had a number of scholarship organizations that actually sent the checks directly to Chanel, which allowed her to like purchase a laptop and some other things, because in the letter it says they just wanted her to go for college, and so that allowed her to purchase any of those school supply things that she needed to be successful as well. So do your research, communicate with your financial aid office to see what type of options that they have. Yes, so great question.
All right, Ms. M, we have a couple of other questions here.
I know.
I know, we're trying to keep up with them. Let's go all the way back up to Trinity. She was talking about, is there a landing page to find local scholarships or just an internet search?
Local or?
Trinity was
local?
asking about local scholarships. Yeah.
So, and again, in Trinity, if you're in school, communicate with your school counselor. If you're not in school, and I'm just going to tell you guys this tip, what we do. We go on other high school websites. Again, when we post things, or when high schools post things, or when students post that they won, like the Rotary Club scholarship from your particular high school, Trinity, take notes, because that scholarship will be offered again, the next year. And again, you have to start preparing early. We always say preparation is the key. But definitely check with those local community organizations. Find out. One of the things that my 9th grader had to do when she started Sumter High was introduce herself to her school counselor, join 5 clubs and organizations, and this was 9th grade, find out how the scholarship information, how that information is put out to the schools. You have to start preparing early. People use Navians, people use Google Classroom. We had a scholarship rack, we had a scholarship, we had social media, we had our webpage, we had a variety of ways. Well, we put our scholarship information out. So you have to find out how that information is put out to the students at the school. A number of students, sometimes don't realize that their high school has a website. You go to the school counseling page, and your information is there. So again, you have to do that legwork to find out about local scholarships. There's no search engine for local scholarships, but we have a book for that. We have almost a 600-page book dedicated to South Carolina students with scholarships for every county in South Carolina.
Thank you for that one. All right, next question was Paige was talking about, oh, and I'm sorry, let me go back to Trinity, and just to add, Trinity, Ms. Lauren also suggested contacting your local Chamber of Commerce too. That might be a good place to start when you're looking for local stuff. Next question came from Paige, and she was talking about scholarships specific to medical school. Can you get a scholarship specific to?
Yes, so, and let me say this for Paige too. I have one student graduated debt-free from all the way through medical school. Do your research with your internship and start looking at those nations that you can join to be a student member, because they offer scholarships for students. I know DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution, they offer scholarships. I posted the other week, Tylenol offers, I think it's $25,000 for students as well. So do your research, but also, Paige, don't limit yourself for just medical school students. There are a lot of generic or general scholarships that are available if you plan to go to graduate school. If you're currently in graduate school, they just have those general scholarships that are out there. So don't narrow yourself into a corner just to look for your major specific scholarships as well. But great question.
All right, we got a couple more for you. We'll let you I'll let you off the hook and move on. Jeremiah wants to know, do you recommend, is there sort of like a tiered approach? Local scholarships and then try for the bigger ones, or should you just go?
Right. And so again, it's all about preparation. If you have your, everything in place. And like I told people, if I knew that we were going to be doing this, 5, 6 years later, after Chanel graduated from high school, I would have been taking pictures. I wish you guys could have seen our dining room table. Downstairs, it was like it was like an assembly line. Like we had a basket with official transcripts, and we had ACT and SAT scores and copies of essays and our success resumes, and a basket with envelopes and the beeps, and we would read, we would fill out the application and then go down the assembly line like boom, 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 and be prepared to mail off multiple scholarships each week, local, state, and national level scholarships. Because again, there's no season for scholarships. Now I will tell you, local and state level scholarships, the majority of them usually open up around January or February each school year for the high school students. So that's when the bulk of them, start coming in. Around January, February, like at my high school, one week I probably put up 21 local and state level scholarships on our scholarship rack. So again, if you start early, and I know someone else said they after hearing me, they didn't realize that you need to start early. Well, and that's why we're doing this now, to try to change the mindset of students and parents and their way of thinking, and educators. Most people think you start this in 12th grade, but hopefully after hearing this today, you will grow to understand that it takes a lot of preparation, and it is more than just applying for a scholarship. It's making it on paper. It's making sure that you can compete with that student who's a part of 5, 6, 7 clubs and organizations, and who's a national president, of organizations as well. So it's all about preparation as well. But I would definitely apply for all levels, local, state, and national level scholarships.
You are on fire.
And we have a question coming from,
I think 2 people were talking at the same time. I'm sorry.
We have a question coming from Facebook, and I want to make sure that we get them in. Mm-hmm. Do you work with students? The question is, do you work with students who live outside of the state of South Carolina?
Yes. Yeah. I tell people all the time, my house just happens to be in South Carolina, but we work with, the scholarship process is universal. So yes, we work with students across the U.S. We do not do one-on-one counseling. We work in groups. So like we're moving now from to do virtual. We're going to be doing virtual boot camps. Now I just finished with 3 trio groups, so now we have more time to do more of our boot camps. Last year we did, I think, 46 boot camps during the summer. So now we have the opportunity to do them on Zooms. So just make sure you follow, because we usually post that information. Actually, we post everything on our social media page. So just make sure you follow us there. But yes, we do work with parents and students out of state. Okay, last question.
Okay, we have
okay.
Yeah. This will be the last question, guys. And so make sure you guys are following her at Pace Leadership Academy.
Scholarship Academy.
They're also on Instagram. I know some of you guys, Scholarship Academy, I'm sorry. Pace Scholarship Academy. If somebody can even drop it in the group chat, but they're also on Instagram. So let me see. Okay, this is from Candace and Hannah. If I go to college first and then join the military as an officer, will the military pay off my college debt?
Yeah, so you said if you go to college first and then join the military as an officer, you without graduating from college, I need clarification, because there's 2 ways that you can actually become an officer in the military. But it just depends on which route you're going. If I'm understanding correctly, most of our students who come out as officers, they go through their 4 years. in college. But then I do know that there are some students that are taking classes or whatever, while they're already enlisted in the military. And then they go through, I think, I forgot the technical term because my husband's an officer, was an officer in the military. So there's another route that you can actually go. And then the military will pay for a portion of your tuition and books as well. So again, most colleges that I know of have a benefits of VA rep. So you need to contact them to see what your options are, or call a recruiter, find out what your options are as well.